from the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today, I'm very pleased. Joining me from the same city, and all the audience know by now, whenever I have someone based in Dubai, I get excited because we need more voices from our region as well. So I'm pleased to have with me today Angela Thomas. Angela, she's specializing in scaling businesses, and we're going to talk a lot about this today. I don't like to steal much from my guests to talk about themselves. So, Angela, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mehmet, for inviting me, and welcome to all your listeners and to your audience. I'm very blessed to be invited and to talk about scaling businesses. Yeah, about me, I grew up in East Germany, and back in these days, where the bakery of my grandparents was the humble home that I grew up in, was actually the birthplace of me getting interested in how to sell, because I always saw my auntie, how she freshened up in the end of the day the cake by just pouring some fresh sugar on it to sell it as fresh as it was in the morning. So that was always very impressive, how she always emptied the shelves by the end of the day. And I was having actually always my side hustle when I was young, a child, but yeah, the economy back in East Germany, where I grew up, was actually not made for entrepreneurship. So I studied somehow a nurse, but in one of these end stages of my study, becoming a nurse, I got to know this wonderful person that I fell in love with, entrepreneur actually from West Germany. And back then, East and West, it was kind of my parents was not so amused, but so yeah, I actually fell in love with him, and we became a couple for 3.5 years and wanted to get married. I learned so much from him. Unfortunately, he died in a car accident, and that swapped my life all around, upside down. And I was on my own, but I was sure that entrepreneurship is something for me to stay with, because when in the young age of 18, I started with that, I felt it is meant to have so much aspects of freedom. And growing up in East Germany, that was a big core value. So I started my own businesses here and there, stopped them when I found they was not good enough, or even sold them. But one of them I stuck with very long, 20 odd years, and I even got a Life Achievement Award. I opened up in the basement of my house back then, a simple beauty salon, and it was very small. I did all the services by myself, but I quickly thought about how to scale. And back in the days where we was far away from any AI or automations, well, I only could scale in employing people. And with that, I actually only scaled as well the costs of it as well. We are fasting forward actually 20 years. And in that time, I scaled it so much that I have 15 employees, 15 therapists, some people in the back office as well. And I even opened up another business, which increased the value ladder of everybody who was looking up to me, because all what I did was basically in a very land countryside region, which had really totally different lifestyle than here in Dubai. And everybody was asking me how you do this on such a place where nobody is actually having a big infrastructure, how you scale so far. I built it up a whole beauty school where people came all over Europe to me, not to learn only the skills of how to do a beauty treatment of a specific kind, but also how to do it and implement it in the business. So most of my courses got booked because I showed them how to implement it, how to scale, how to get the clients, how to sell it, to sell their services. And that's what actually brought me to a whole possibility of shift that I could actually also digitalize my full business. So in Germany, I even wrote books, and I'm in the beauty industry known as the one who digitalized the beauty industry. And that very beauty subject brought me actually with the first contact to Dubai. Since 2016, I was, because of my performance in Germany, always invited here to speak and to give trainings also. And that was actually the start for me to get involved in Dubai. And here I am now. Since 2022, I'm living here in Dubai and have also renovated a little bit my whole business concept.
Wow, like I love these stories, and like when people ask me why you don't have these, sometimes we see them on some podcast. The host is reading the bio or the intro of the guest,
Yeah.
and I tell people like, exactly what you did now, Angela, is telling the story by itself. It let people reflect. And because you're seeing like kind of a trailer of a whole experience, of course, squeezed in couple of minutes, but it has a lot of value. And I believe no one can tell someone else's story, of course, unless you are an professional author that is specialized in biographies, right? So like The
Yes.
Alchemist. But anyway, thank you very much for this introduction and giving me the background what you brought you here. Now, one thing which is related to what you told us so far, um, majority of the time, because you did multiple things, right? And
Yes.
you were like, and you mentioned, there's one common word you repeated it, or like the theme you repeated it, is starting over again, right? So,
Mhm.
and you said like you reinvented, right, the whole thing. I know like you work with a lot of other founders, other entrepreneurs also as well. Uh, what do you see them missing, you know, uh, in order to be able to really go and reinvent, with confidence, um, whether like changing sector, whether like going and starting a completely new business? What's usually, the obstacle they face, and what you advise them to do to
Mhm.
overcome that?
That's a very interesting question. And I can actually only encourage everybody to think over sometimes their business strategy or their field. And so I did. And Mehmet, I was exactly on the same stage where I had conflicts inside myself coming here because, 25 years in the beauty industry, what am I doing? Everybody, even in Germany, was saying, why are you doing this, Angela? You were so successful in Germany. You should just continue. You almost of the goal. And I mean, my personal goal is actually, I even wrote in my books about that I wanted to be able to stop working when I'm 50. And now I only have 1 year left. And basically, everybody says, you're destroying your goal. And but I was just kind of achieved everything that I wanted to achieve, and also the political situation that hit everybody through Corona, especially for the beauty industry, made me overthink it. And especially these conflicts that I had to leave out, you feel like you give something away, and you betray yourself somehow with your former goals or former achievements. And I have always that thinking that I brought also to myself in order to develop. Uh, Evolution never goes backwards. So, first of all, this is one thing that you should think. You should always think in innovations. You should always think in movements forwards. Yeah, the dinosaurs are never, died because they were so adjustable to the weather, etc. And that's why that's how you have always to adjust your business model somehow. And so that's when I thought, first of all, I just pass and copy actually what I did in Germany here to Dubai. But coming here, I just realized how different the market is when I was starting here to do business, not only as a guest speaker or a guest trainer, but a founder and entrepreneur that is based here. And so I actually took, and that's why I'm confidently also speaking about my past. A lot of people, they have a past out of another industry. They're just trying to wipe it out and overthrow it somehow like it never happened. But I take it as an asset, and that's what I do. It is an asset actually for me to come to the next step, basically. And that is the misconception everybody has. And for a while long, I tried to overthrow it and, don't focus on it too much, because also what you need to know, and maybe we can also ask the community or the audience for a reflection. I felt as a beautypreneur, you always have actually this sort of limiting, kind of repetition that, she's only doing nails. Yeah. What is the intelligence all about? Eyebrows, eyelashes, whereas, she's only doing that. So some kind of, played downwards where there's no business behind it. But if you look at big entrepreneurs who are our beauty industries, then we have actually a lot of founders, a lot of entrepreneurs that Huda Cosmetic, for example, started exactly in the same place. But she and everybody out of this industry also developed actually their business model. And so I did. I took this beauty dress out and actually could spit all over other industries, the knowledge that I had formed in this industry, which is transportable, it's tangible. You can actually customer relation, you can transport it to other industries. Sales, you can transport it to other industries. And it's manageable that you actually enlarge all these subjects. If you can do it for one business specifically and put it under the proof, you can also do it with other industries. The system is always the same. The product is something different, and that makes it so interesting for me today. So the misconception of leaving out what you have achieved is something that I find the founders of today sometimes be left out with a lack of authenticity. So if you are not fully talking about where you're coming from and what you have achieved and what is the journey all about, it is something that brings you in an unauthentic way. And that's what's actually coming in when you sell something. If your prospective opposite feels something, just only this sense of, something is fishy here. They're bringing their guard up and you don't sell something. So authenticity is something so important and strong for scaling your business.
You unpacked a lot of things, Angela, and like I like to, if I want to reflect on a couple of things you mentioned. So the first thing is you're saying you master well in one domain, and then you can apply this in other domains, especially when we talk about scaling a business. I agree with you about another thing, which is sometimes people, and this is why if you are really an entrepreneur with purpose, so people will tell you these negative things. I tell people, like, don't expect everyone to go and clap for you and applaud you, like like you're doing is nonsense, and we see and we read a lot
Yeah.
about these things.
How many people have said that to me? This is nonsense. I tell you, in the beauty industry, I invented my first online course. Nobody has spoken about online courses in 2016. Everybody was laughing at me and says, ha, ha, ha,
Yeah, yeah,
and I continued to do online courses, which has not even been sold. So first of all, here is my spiritual aspect comes in, because entrepreneurship is something so spiritual. You have to have the trust, even if everybody says no to you or loves about you, you know. And then when Corona hit, everybody asked me for how to do it, and can you show us? So yeah, yeah,
100%. And you talk about authenticity. I'm gonna come back to this later, but this is very important. Now, maybe people who are listening so far think, okay, like you two talking about, scaling and growing the business. So while preparing for today's episode, there's one phrase you use, it attracted my attention. And you say business doesn't grow unless the founder does. It's
yeah.
very it's very big. It's a very big
Mm.
thing. I know what you mean, but I want you, Angela, to unpack it for us. What do
Mhm.
you mean by you can't grow your business unless you as a founder you grow as also as well?
Maybe your audience also knows this feeling when you either have your perspective actually, who seems to be all right and seems to be very satisfied with all of your services. Or maybe you have found yourself in the very same spot of being that perspective yourself. And you feel like the offer is good, is everything is perfect. It's like, a no-brainer. But yet the perspective is not buying. Why is that? Because sometimes your offer and your way of how you would think the results for your perspective can be, and you can help them to bring benefit to them, they are not ready yet. And that same is with entrepreneur. If you are not ready for the things that you're manifesting, that you wanted to achieve, that you put on a business plan, if you're not really be ready for it to receive it, if you're not ready for it to digest an income in your business account of 2 million, for example, if you're not ready to actually deal with this money respectfully, if you're not ready with actually hold the energy of people who come around that know how to bring more value to you that you are looking up for, then you are not receiving the results that you're actually putting down on your business plan. If you don't grow yourself, your own purpose, your own container, how can you have something? Yeah, if you want to buy a Porsche, but you only have a garage for a moped, then it's just like insane to wish and manifest to have actually yeah, that Porsche in your garage. And that's the same thing. If you do not educate yourself, if you do not bring yourself in a state of mind, you don't have the garage in terms of your own yeah personality for receiving this kind of business that you wanted to attract. And this is so important. So how to do this? I always personally invest very much in my own education, in my own process, in my personal development. And I am looking always into a room where I am not the biggest. Often you have networks, often you have groups in which you can grow, and often then you realize they are looking up to you. And that's the moment that you have to reflect, I'm in the wrong room. If you're not in the room where people, where you look at upwards to people, where if you are the biggest in one room and everybody's looking upwards to you, then you are in a wrong room. And that's for you time to invest in self-development, in looking for another network, maybe in a network that is holding the light and the energy of your growth as well. So that is something that has to do a lot with purpose, with reflection of yourself, of the founders, and often, they do not want to reflect, and often they cannot reflect your own shadows. You can't see, and that's why sometimes you need something, and that is actually the purpose in my skillionaire business mentoring. That I have people, I help them to scale and also to reflect of where are their blind spots. Yeah, sometimes I bet all the founders and your audience knows this in any terms of subject. Is it in business or is it in private? You sometimes reach a certain level, a plateau, and you don't know why you're not exceeding that one. And that's where you need somebody to reflect actually your blind spots, and you can't see your own shadows yourself, and that's why sometimes you need something, and that is actually meant with when I say you invest in your own development.
Great. You touched on the next point that I wanted to ask you about. So we're talking about scalability, and you're known, Angela, for helping founders in scaling, right? So from your experience, because you've built and sold also multiple businesses, right? So I'm sure, like you can by now, with the experience you have, you can spot which kind of ventures can scale sustainably in a way that they don't reach the plateau that you're talking about, from the ones that like yeah, they will achieve certain level and then probably they will stay for a long time, and pooh, they might fall. From your perspective, what is the difference between like something that gonna keep scaling, and keep growing versus something that might fall or even like stay in the plateau that you just mentioned?
Yes. So actually, in my concepts are always something that I implement, which calls value ladder. You have to have a value ladder for which your client has to climb. It is nonsense that you have one piece of product, service, whatever, with which you want to address your client. Because sometimes, if you attract your clients on the very first stage where they meet you, they have not built enough trust in buying exactly that one product that you wanted to make money with. So you have to think in the shoes of an client of your perspective. That's first of all. So I'm looking at the value chain very much from where is it the easiest to actually enter and get in contact with the service of my clients, with your own service, and then increasingly the trust, and with it also the scope of service, the size of the service, and of course the income of the service, or cost of the service in that case. So that is something that I always implement, and I think whether you have a scalability or not, you should have a very good value ladder. Now, what is the difference between a scalable business and an unscalable business? An unscalable business is, for me, something where you have to actually, your service is detached for to the factor time versus money. That is something that is not scalable. So now you have to think in any kind of industry that you are, to develop something where your expertise is actually put it into a frame which allows you to have actually multiple sales for in the same time. So let's say you have an service in AI. It's very common now how to implement AI. Now, a lot of agencies out there, they help how to implement to make AI very working for the clients because they are overwhelmed. So instead of giving that service basically to your client, you can also think of educating your client, actually detach the factor, your service, your knowledge, your expertise from the factor time. Put them in a frame of an education, an online course, or a one-to-many project where you can actually show them what to do or what is important to do in order to, yeah, implement AI. Well, if you wanted to stay with this example, for example. So it's always about to bring actually something into your business concept, what allows you to actually detach time from your service or from your product.
Angela, you reminded me when you mentioned like about the time, and it's not scalable. You reminded me of someone. I think majority of the audience should know him, Naval Ravikant, the famous
Mm.
entrepreneur and the founder of Angel List. Because one of the concepts he talks about, like you need to find the business that can grow while you're sleeping, in a sense.
Mhm. Yeah.
um, yeah, because if you keep trading your time for money, this doesn't scale. And by the way, like this, especially when we talk with founders in the tech industry. As you know, like I'm, I'm more into the tech space, but as you mentioned, like we can learn from different industries, and we can,
Yeah.
of course, migrate knowledge and know-hows. So what I wanted to say is, we tell them, like, you need to watch for the things that doesn't scale and the things that can scale, and you need to try to get out yourself from the things, like, you need to focus on the things that cannot scale, because maybe it's like the knowledge, the tech, the know-hows, and you need to to give anything that scale by itself, right? So for example, don't
Yeah.
get into sales calls as a founder. I mean, once your business grows, like,
Yeah.
don't put yourself in situation where you are trading your time for money. And this is really, very resonating, and yeah, so to the point you mentioned. Now, if we want to put kind of structure, so just let's imagine this scenario, and I like you know examples and stories, Angela. So
Yeah.
imagine I come to you now, right?
Mhm.
And I tell you, like, hey, like, Angela, I found about you. I found, like, you help founders like myself into scaling. So let's walk, you know, me as a founder with the process that I need to go through in order to find the growth. So let's talk about this journey for me as a founder, struggling in scaling into taking them, maybe one or multiple founders, to the scaling momentum that they deserve.
You put spring in my head. I have prepared flowers now to find an example, but I'm gonna make it in your case, for example. So,
Sure.
um, then you look for an industry, or first of all, I would like to know where you found me as an entrepreneur. So obviously, you should have followed any of my visibility content. Uh, is it maybe LinkedIn? Is it maybe my lead magnet, which actually is very well curated also? So, as a founder, I would always tell you to make a lead magnet to attract people, to remember the lowest place on the value chain, to make it as easy as it can be for your perspective, for your potential client to get in contact with you. So, now you don't want it to spread out only different kind of booklets and ebooks that, also the audience gets fatigued with it, and then convince the client maybe that there has a problem. So in my case, I did that with creating an lead magnet, which you have then probably saw. And I do not need to convince you anymore about having a problem that I am the solution for. So my lead magnet is, for example, instead of saying, this is how you become successful, I create actually, and I take the a problem that my ideal client has into the lead magnet. So my lead magnet is called the 7 reasons of stagnation. Again, the 7 reasons of stagnation. So all and everybody who is basically clicking onto it, they already commit. They have a point of where they are stagnate. So I do not have to go in negotiation, obligation handling, with which I need to explain that the client has a problem. So the problem awareness is already taken away. That's something very good, especially in this Dubai market where everybody, or a lot of people, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people, they are, faking until they're making. And somehow a lot of people forget to get out of this faking process. So that's why I do not want to discuss anymore with somebody that they have a problem or they could do better. So this I eliminated with only the title of it, 7 reasons of stagnation. So that's the process that I would get into it. If you would be somebody who comes with me, what is the reasons of stagnation? Then there is always a speech that I hold. It's the 8th element, 7 reasons of stagnation, but the 8th element that nobody's talking about, that what I told you actually in the beginning here, it's about your own frequency that you put out If you don't hold the container, the frequency of what you wanted to receive, you cannot receive. And that's why you have to have actually this own frequency that you bring in with. And that is something that I would actually find out in strategy sessions, and find out actually, first of all, with a lot of questions of where is really the point of where you struggle. And obviously, I would find out either the frequency or actually the point of sale. A lot of people struggle, they have everything together, their value chain, their structured CRM, the processes, but they struggle to get on the phone. And that's what I have as actually a program, a money making front desk. So I would show you actually how to get into a similar structure in which from the lead magnet goes into the next basically step on moving actually forward, having a small sized, very affordable, cost-friendly option of getting actually in contact with you. In some cases, it can be also a book that people buy. This next step about books. Everybody feels good. It's a small investment, and you increase the trust that the person has. So the next step would be something smaller and bigger to buy. Smaller in terms of still it's affordable, but a bit bigger than the previous investment that you have done. And until the trust is so big that it's actually not anymore about if you have the right product, if you would deliver, the trust factor is now onto the client. Do they trust themselves to actually digest of whatever you teach them, show them, have the service for them? If this is not the case, often this is not the case, we have spoken before about that, I will go in something totally free of cost to build up back the trust in them with your product, with your service. And that's what I call tiny challenges. So I give actually my clients something that I have 3 days, their full commitment. I work with them 3 days and totally free of charge. And then they see what is actually in themselves to digest and the results that's coming out. That's very powerful. And with that, you can put them in a one-to-many product where they have already the trust and you can scale. Because you detach now time from fact to money.
Absolutely. Now, one thing also while preparing Angela, and just it came to my mind because I was checking, your website.
Uh-huh.
So you called your agency as a family office 2.0 for entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Why?
Okay. So this is something that I'm ending up most of the times with when my clients are coming to me. They feel so good with the strategy, and they feel that I bring so much value that they say, please be a part of my project. And so I end often up in the businesses that I'm scaling with my clients as either shareholder or a mentor that is helping to scale and investing also in it. And that's why I have a very boutique, but I have a family office in which I help the people and their businesses to grow. So, for example, this is one thing. And this is the Dubai Doctors Fast Track, which I have actually a client brought to the same value ladder that I have. He found me with my book, and then I teach his client, his team on the front desk. He saw what value I brought. I went into a fulfillment retaining project with him. But he said, "Okay, this is just too massive. Please, you're doing it so good. I have a part of it, and let's do this together." So I'm a shareholder and a co-founder of that project where we help to bring German doctors to Dubai, for example, and get their DHA license. So something like that. And that's why I call myself family office. And of course, my big dream, and Mehmet, is that my two kids actually join one time in my business, where they have now one is still too young, but and the other is 24. They have their own ways, and of course, as a conscious mom, I do not want to put their dream on their or my dreams
Sure.
on their shoulder. But still, this is just such a big that would be such a luck on earth for me, a big dream to work with my kids together. Yeah.
Oh, wow, like really, I love this approach. I love, the energy you're bringing, Angela, here. And you mentioned something, and yourself, you moved here to Dubai, like, and are you seeing Dubai becoming more and more, a hub for entrepreneurs who want to start their businesses, regardless the sector they are in? And because you said like also you were coming as visiting, speaking since 2016, so almost like 10 years ago. How have you seen, the city and the whole Middle East, actually, not only Dubai, but mainly Dubai, because we both based here, evolving, when it comes to attracting entrepreneurs who want to start their
Yeah.
businesses here?
See, the first years that I came, I was just not taking in consideration to call Dubai one time in my life as my home. I was so annoyed by the traffic actually, and I could not feel it totally. So I was actually always happy to leave. But with the years, what I really found that where Europe has the extraction of negativity in people, Dubai is totally the opposite. They have people with the mindset and extraction of positivity. And I love this so much. As I'm myself a very positive person, and I face sometimes in Germany always people who judge me. Well, why are you always laughing? That can be real and stuff like that. And why are you so happy and so motivated? How can that be? And so it is just a very big factor of mind hygiene that I practice to have and maintain that back in the days. But still today, I feel in an environment that and I think this is the reason why a lot of other people and entrepreneurs are attracted by Dubai. It is actually the Disneyland of entrepreneurs. You're just playing on another scale, and you have this positive mindset, and you do not have to excuse yourself of being eager to achieve something. I have clients in Germany, they say, oh, I wanted to leave as well, especially the doctors that we're working with, I mentioned earlier. Imagine this, they're parking their well-deserved high-class car 5 streets farther, not to be in danger of people breaking in their house or being charged of having an expensive car in case they do not have a garage. But that is something, insane. Why would you have this? Why would you want this for your life? And you don't find this in Dubai. Everybody is celebrating the success of the others. I mean, if there is, some kind of jealousy about something, they have to touch on their own nose and see how they're performing better in order to achieve something. So the mindset is totally different. Where in Europe is everything on the negative extraction, we have here positive. And this is, I think, next to the factor of security, the main reason why people are coming here, and they will still come here. Yeah.
And just to add to what you said, Angela, and this is big opportunity, and I'll tell you why. And this is good for your business as well. So
Okay.
in just the past 2 weeks, and for the transparency, the audience knows, like we're recording on the 5th of September. So in the past 2 weeks, uh, the man with a cardboard on his head, the virtual man, Bordy, everyone knows Bordy on LinkedIn, who introduced people to each others. He introduced me like maybe to 10 or 12 people, and I met out of them maybe 10 so far, and we still have like some meetings coming. And all of them, majority are coming from Europe and different parts of Europe. Like
Mhm.
to not like put a you know
A
question mark on a
stigma of
certain
one
country.
country. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. So some of them coming from France, Germany. I think I met a couple of gentlemen coming from the UK, and they repeated the same thing that you said. Like it's mainly the number one, of course, the security, safety, family
Yeah.
oriented, especially if you have like kids. Yeah, the weather is hot, but yeah, like we you get used to it
You have
with time.
AC.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that they mentioned is, because the lack of opportunities and slow of doing business is there, and Dubai is known like to be, I think, I'm not sure where it's on the rank, maybe it's second or first, I'm not sure, but it's one of the fastest place where you can open a business. Actually, you can just go and incorporate something, I think in 24 to 48 hours. So you can have your license, your business formed and everything. But to your point, Angela, what this is now turning into, and see, like you're helping doctors coming here, right? What's happening now, a lot of opportunities are opening up because one of the gentlemen that I was talking to, and he's in like health and investment at the same time. And the first thing that he spotted, like all these people coming here, knowing that the city have, this spirit of entrepreneurship, everything is fast, clean, all the positive things. So developing services that target these people who are coming here is the next big opportunity. And I'm just sharing this, and this is will benefit you also, Angela, because all these new businesses will need scaling. Now, you told me before we start the recording about a new podcast, so tell us more. Give us a teaser if you want.
Ah, yes. So I have actually a program that calls Skillionaires, and that's my yearly program. And out of the Skillionaires, I have so good people who develop themselves. And once they are developed, of course, they wanted to go into the visibility, which is also a big factor in my 1 year program. How to get visibility. And one of my services that I am actually offering them is to join on my podcast. And I planned this podcast a little bit a while ago, and I have already really high value people who has already scaled. So yeah, this is a podcast that calls Skillionaire, actually Skillionaire podcast. And there's something more about to come after the podcast, but let's first release the podcast. After the podcast is something really good to come too. So if you are if you wanted to join my journey, just stay tuned. The podcast will be released on the 5th of October, and I'm so happy to invite you one time as well onto my podcast on stage. Yeah.
I would come with pleasure. Thank you, Angela. Um, where we can follow you, Angela, and you mentioned about your league magnet, so I want to make sure that I place that
Oh,
also. So
yes.
tell us where we can get in touch.
Yeah. So if you want to, I can, I don't know if even the possibility is there, but I would.
You just mention it. You just say it. I will put it in the show note.
Okay. So I have the skill. So I have actually the several reasons of stagnation. You can find this on my on my website angelsuccess.consulting, and also the Skillionaire website is surely launched very soon, and I provide you the link, and people can find on Skillionaires Me everything that they can that we have talked about actually.
Great. So for the audience, you don't need to look or search. I will make your life easy. Again, I put all the links, including the link that Angela will send for the podcast and for all her work. You will find them in the show notes. So if you're listening to this on your favorite podcasting app, you'll find them there. If you're watching this somehow on YouTube, thank you for doing so. So you'll find the links in the description. Angela, I can't thank you enough for this engaging, highly energy episode today. I love to talk to positive people. I love to talk to people who are like full of energy and they are eager to help others also as well. And I know you're doing a lot of work in this, both as business and on, helping people to relocate to Dubai, especially the doctors. We need them, keep them coming.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for all what you're doing, and thank you for coming to the show today. And this is how I end my episodes. This is for the audience. If you just discovered this podcast now by luck, thank you for passing by. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did so, give me a small favor. Subscribe, share it with your friends and colleagues. You are seeing we're trying to do kind of a give back, bringing experts like Angela today so we can inspire more people. We can get more successful entrepreneurs globally, here in Dubai and globally. And if you are one of the people who keeps coming again and again, who shows me their support, who send me messages, who send me notes. Thank you for doing so. I really appreciate that. Thank you for, and I know maybe you're getting bored from repeating this, but I can't thank everyone enough for making the CTO show trending in the Apple podcast in multiple countries in the entrepreneurship sector section all this year. Since almost Feb till today, the podcast never went out of the charts, at least in one country or two. And now we are trending in multiple countries, so this cannot happen without this. And also, I would like to tell you about something which we launched on September 10th, which is my book, From Nowhere to Next, where I tried to get all the experience that I connected from founders, operators, and people in technology and entrepreneurship and put it there for you. So go check it out and let me know what you think. And as I say always, thank you for tuning in. We'll be again very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.